And we're back with some more Oxygen Not Included on Badlands. And today is all about fixing mistakes. Well, that's how we're going to start today anyway. I don't know where we're going to finish up. The first mistake we're going to start with is these ethanol distilleries. I was having problems with ethanol ending up in here. Now, these things are an awful mess when you put them in a steam room, it seems. There's a few problems you encounter. One, once you fill them up with lumber, the lumber gets really hot, namely because the ethanol distillery is made of steel. It transfers heat really well to the lumber, and it also transfers it really well to the ethanol that comes out. But to solve that problem, all we did was we just, limited the pipes to 1 kilo of ethanol per second by limiting the pipes. I think I've demolished them to recycle the ceramics. Yeah, so I limited the pipes to 1 kilo, and then I would put each kilo, there'd be 4 kilos, each one into a separate petroleum refinery. However, that also resulted in problems. The reason being, the petroleum refineries are also made of steel, and while the petroleum is waiting there to hit a certain amount, it needs to have a certain amount before it will burn, it would absorb enough heat and then just flash inside the petroleum generators. An awful lot less would flash inside the petroleum generators than I was getting in the pipes, but it was still a problem. I couldn't just leave that unattended. So I've come up with a new idea to fix this. Is it a smart idea? No. Will it work? Maybe. The plan is very simple. We have moved the ethanol distilleries down here. We're going to create the ethanol down here, much lower down inside the carbon dioxide cloud, which is, it's far less conductive. Where is it? Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide conductivity 0.015. Steam has thermal conductivity of 3.390. It just means it absorbs heat less quickly, so we should hopefully be able to not boil the ethanol the moment it comes out of the pipes. But even if it does, each one of them is assigned to a single pipe. Each two of them. Each one of them produces half a kilo. So 1 kilo of liquid in a pipe cannot state change. So even if it does come out too hot, or if it gets too much heat on its way out of here, won't make a difference. What we're going to do is we're going to cool it down, and then we're going to put back into the petroleum refinery, or petroleum generators. Not refineries, generators. Apologies, I do that all the time. Can't help myself. However, we don't want to waste cooling on this. I mean, I could run an aqua tuner and do all sorts of stuff, but that seems inefficient. And sometimes I don't like inefficiency. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand the lumber coming in. We have a bunch of lumber that comes out of here, and all this lumber is about 20C. Just from whatever way this works, it's bizarre. This stuff seems to come out at just 20C when it hits the ground. It's absorbed a bit of heat here because haven't been collecting it. But what we can do is make a counterflow heat exchanger, very similar to this one here. So the wood flows through here and it dumps off heat into the metal tiles. It's not very good though. So we'll just have to make it bigger. And what we'll do is we'll counterflow the ethanol the opposite direction and then have the ethanol go back in and be burnt off in here. And hopefully it'll be just cool enough that it will stay below temperature long enough to get into the petroleum generators and get burnt off. Will this work? Maybe. We're going to find out. So what we have here is we're going to have 4 kilos of ethanol coming through these pipes. I'm going to run these pipes through here, but first we're going to modify this whole area so that it acts as a temperature exchange. Ooh, you know what? First, we're going to bring down the shipping rail that brings down the wood. So that would be this one here. While all that is being built, we've got a lot of shipping rails to go down. I also queued up the destruction of a whole bunch more that got removed. I wanted to recycle the iron ore. Let's cover the second mistake I made. Yeah, see that there? That's a temperature shift plate that just got insta-built. That shouldn't have happened. This was pointed out by Caleb K about 4 days ago. He said my stuff was building too quick. I think it was back when I constructed these. He said they went down instantly, and I was like, nah, it's fine. I didn't think anything was going on. Turns out something with the debug file. I have the debug file installed when I'm doing testing or just trying things out on the side, but it shouldn't affect this game unless I actually press command buttons. But something happened, and now everything's insta-building. So just 1 second there. There we go. That's turned off instant build though. I don't know, I turned it off earlier and it seems to keep coming back on again no matter what I do, so I'm just going to get rid of the debug file. There we go. Yeah, so I've disabled the debug file and removed it. I normally use that for doing testing and things like that. It's just handy to be able to build things. I wasn't even aware there was a builder's instant debug thing in it, but I scrubbed through the footage. Best I can figure, it happened somewhere between the start of episode 11 and the end of episode 11, so since then things have been building really quickly. I just never noticed. I know that sounds pretty bad, but usually my dupes are pretty fast. Though in this instance, yeah, I think the time I should have got suspicious was when I put in, where was it? These insulated gas pipes. That was really fast. Normally they take a lot longer. Anyway, yeah, sorry about that. This is no longer a max difficulty Badlands run. This is more just Badlands with Hungry Dupes. This will definitely slow them down, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference. I am using a max speed mod, so it just sort of, well, they do build pretty fast anyway, one way or the other. The game runs faster, so yeah, usually things get done quicker so I can get more at the door. So we've got almost those done. Once those are done, though, we're going to have to put a transfer medium to help that wood dump some heat into something before we run the piping through it. So, scaffold time. This is what it's starting to come together to look like. All of the pipes will get sent across here. Once they've gone through this cooling area, which we're going to fill full of some sort of transfer medium, once they've gone through all of that, then we will bring them up in this pipe and bring them all the way back into the industrial sauna. That's the theory. I have no idea if this is going to work. Power overlay wise, I need to rip out some of that, don't I? Yeah, all of this can go. We're not going to be able to put... Oh, whoa, whoa. Don't quite take that. We do want to have some of that left over. Yeah, while all of that is going on in the background, let's have a quick look at one of the other mistakes I made, because there's been so many recently. The other one is, yeah, I have a lot less slicksters than I used to have. I had bricks down here to give a layer of crude oil, so that slicksters, like this one here, when they pooped out the crude oil, it would give them good conductivity, which meant it drove up their body temperature and was giving me good eggs. However, there was a minor complication when a molten larvae showed up, and then there was regular slicksters and a molten larva slicked on the same area. Then what happened is one of them pooped out crude oil, which stayed on the bottom, and then the petroleum came out, and that floated on top of the crude oil, which meant they were surrounded in 2 layers of liquid. And then all of my slicksters drowned in about 50 grams of petroleum. Yep, the whole row just died out and knocked me back to 1 slickster. Yeah, that was fun. So maybe if you're playing with slicksters, have a dedicated farm for the ones that do one type of oil, and then dedicated farms for the others that don't, if you're going to put in some tiles underneath them. That was dumb. Really, really dumb. Anyway, next up, what I want to do is we're going to do a little bit of a play around here. I'm not sure what's the best tiles to put going through these. I had a setup going on up here, and I tried using metal tiles and things. We're going to try a few different things. First thing we're going to try is diamond. Reason being, it has good specific heat capacity and great thermal conductivity. Well, decent specific heat capacity. There's things with far better. But what we'll do is we'll just run that through like that. And the next layer, we're going to put in sandstone. One will be igneous and one will be iron. Yeah, we're going to play around with all of them just to see if it makes a difference. And this weird-looking abomination sandwich is what we're ending up with. Now, I should have made all of this out of one probably similar material, or I could have put in instead tiles in the middle to split it up and help heat spread better. But all I really want to do is drive down the temperature of the incoming ethanol below about 70°C. If I can get it below that, I should be able to burn it off without any of it popping into a nasty gas along the way. While all that's going on, you know what? We will get rid of those ladder segments. Oh, not the power chunk, please. And then I think what we're going to do is just put in 2 petroleum generators right here, nice and close. That way we won't be running the ethanol we're going to bring back in here a very long distance at all. Oh, and while we're at it, we might as well start running the wood now. We have plenty of wood to bring in, so let's just put in these conveyor chutes. It's the same as before. We're just going to have a single split, but now we're only going to have 2 drop-offs for the wood, and both of these will draw from the central location. We at least have the shipping rails in place, so we can start the wood moving down here. I want to see if the wood transfers temperature to this, and with the different layers we should see which one works out the best. Or, well, long term we're going to find out which one works the best. So let's turn these all back on again. Alright, top layer started, second layer. Perfect. Not seeing any overloads just yet. Once both of those are up and running flat out. Okay, that's perfect. We can start on the next row. Done. Right, that gets all of the wood flowing down here, comes down here, goes across, and then it's going to go to our weird little counterflow. The temperature of which is, yeah, going to be weird looking. That is... We'll see what happens. This stuff is coming in at about 20°C. Don't know what that's going to do. This is honestly, yeah, this is just weird new ground for me. We'll find out what happens, though, as it goes along. This will start getting dropped off here, and I'm not going to turn on the Ethanol Distilleries just yet. Actually, should I? You know what? Let's plug them in. Why not? Now that the wood's flowing, they're good to go. Oh, wait. I need somewhere to throw the polluted dirt, don't I? So I needed polluted dirt extraction. These guys can reach to the middle, so maybe let's put it in the center. We could definitely simplify this a lot. The system has started a little bit, albeit only one chunk of it. So one of the refineries is up and running, and it's pumping out about half a kilo of petroleum, or ethanol. And that is getting sent through here all the way to the end and then back around. It comes out at 73 here. By the time it's returning, it's 21. Now, that's, of course, only a quarter of this on. Once the other, well, an eighth of this on. Once the rest of them kick in, I doubt it's going to keep coming out that cool. If we check the temperature overlay here, there's a sort of a Wish I had just shown you this before I'd run the ethanol through it. What you've got is you've got 3 different layers sandwiched in here. You've got your diamond, you've got your sandstone, you've got your iron, and your igneous rock. Diamond has the best conductivity of all of them, and it ends up at the lowest temperature. It's going down to the lowest amount. Iron comes in second because it's got the second best thermal conductivity. Sandstone comes in third, as in for lowest temperature achieved. This is just how it goes. It's based entirely on what their thermal conductivity is, because they're able to suck more heat out of the passing through wood on the conveyor rails. So the lumber is cooling everything down. However, there's a few differences here. Well, here's what I'm hoping. The specific heat capacity is how much temperature they can hold on to. As in, if this has a, say, sandstone here has a thermal capacity of 0.8. Wait, no, bad example. Igneous rock here has a specific heat capacity of 1. That means it can hold on to twice as much temperature as other materials. So, say if it was up against something like diamond, which has about a thermal conductivity of 0.5, this should hold on to twice as much temperature. And because the wood or lumber coming down is going to be sporadic, it isn't going to be consistent, that should theoretically hold on to more cooling and potentially be more stable. I don't know. I put in the 4 layers of the sandwich just to see what happens over the long period of time. Otherwise, you're never really sure. There's the theory that I should just use igneous rock for all of this, or actually water would probably be even better, but I'm not going to waste that much water. Things like that, and that would definitely help out more. But if we can get by with a cheapy solution, why not? How are we doing now? Okay, we have 2 of them up and running. Actually, 4. That's 2 kilos going through there, and by the time it comes back, it's still only 1 kilo. There we go, 2 kilos. Still 21C. Okay, this is working out really well. If we check the ethanol distillery, it's down to 21C, so it's not flashing. Nothing's happening. It just gets in there and immediately gets burnt off. But we're not producing enough temperature down here to make it flash to steam anymore. Well, there's always going to be something. Always. I think it's time we maybe move the carbon skimmers a little somewhere else. Yeah, maybe I should have thought about this more carefully. You know what? No. Not going to worry about this just yet. I want to wait until all of them are online. Then we can worry about my future mistakes. Okay, all of them are on now. Yeah, we're just hitting the 4 kilos per second mark. So we're getting 4 kilos of ethanol per second. And we're not getting any of it flash, which is, yes, this is good. Though they are slowly going up in temperature, the petroleum generators, which is also good for us. That means we're more likely that the polluted water is going to start flashing. You know what, let's mop all of that up. Okay, I think this is working slightly. Oh, we can get rid of these. I was using these to filter out the ethanol earlier on. We can get rid of those filters. I had to hook up a bunch of filters down here, throw in gas pumps, and just slowly but surely squeeze out all the ethanol that got into the system. There was an enormous amount. I lost track of how many cycles it took to take care of it. But I think we're back up and running, and I think, well, I'm not going to commit to anything just yet, but I'm pretty sure that we've got this covered. This should now no longer off-gas ethanol into our industrial sauna. It was a bit of a weird solution. We're using lumber for cooling, which is a little odd, but it seems to be working, and working quite well. I mean, the temperature this is coming out at is 21C. It pops out of here at 73 or so, and then by the time it's back, it's 21. That's a hell of a drop for nothing. All we're doing is taking the wood that's coming in and using that to recycle, though we'll see what happens when we start running out of wood and it's not so constant. Another thing I have to do is I have to get all the wood that's up here. There's quite a bit of it. And I need to get all that wood down here and here. What? I have some sneaky ideas. Oh, and I better make sure that's buildings. I deleted a whole bunch of background buildings down there. That was rather embarrassing. We'll delete all of that. We can also get rid of those shipping rails, I think. To move all the wood, I'm going with, of course, a brute force and stupid solution. I'm going to push all the wood over to here, and then I'm going to drop it down. Otherwise, I'm going to have to set up transport rails and do stuff, and I want to keep it even. So all I'm doing is just, well, pushing it. I put a brick up in here and a brick there. What happens is once that brick is placed there, it forces everything in here to the left one tile, and then I place a tile above it, and it keep repeating the process until it's going to end up right over here. And once it's there, I'm going to delete the tile beneath it and the 2 tiles down here, and it will just drop all the way down. Which reminds me, I should make sure. Oh, there's already some lumber there, so you know what? We can drop this right now because we don't need to care. So those 2 can drop down there. I'll only delete that tile once we've got the rest of it down there. Otherwise, I'm going to... Actually, we don't even need those, do we? Yeah, those are vestigial. I stopped using those ages ago. Oh, yeah, they can go. Also, that'll free up some steel. Steel-wise, though, our shells are paying off, or poke shells are paying off. What are we up to? I think it's 25 tons of steel right now. Sorry, 26 tons of steel. At one point, I spent it all on all of this equipment we're putting in here. Everything in here is made out of steel, so it's quite expensive. Even the grooming stations are made of steel, and the critter drop-offs, the doors, everything. Steel, steel, steel. So this is, yeah, we've made at least 25 tons of this stuff since we started doing this. With that all out of the way, we've finally got ethanol sorted. I want to hope we have ethanol sorted. What's it at? 54. Yeah, that seems more reasonable. Chilling up to 54. What's the... Yeah, we don't have any wood coming through just yet. This is why I wanted to experiment around with how much with the material we used in here. That way we could store more temperature in between batches of wood flowing down here. Do we have any wood inbound? No. Maybe this won't work. We'll have to see. Oh my god. Using wood as a counterflow mechanic, that was probably not my brightest bet. I might have to put in some sort of extra cooling just to make sure it never goes above a certain amount. But for the time being, we check the gas overlays. There's no ethanol that's escaped in here. Wait, nope, there's one. Yeah, but just one piece so far. One piece so far. We'll see what happens. Which reminds me, I got a mop up down here. There's a whole bunch of polluted water and nasty stuff that needs to be gone from here. Temperature-wise, I'm going to have to dump in some more heat this side, but that I can worry about in a minute. For the time being, I just want to finish this off, and we're going to put in some emergency backup coal generators in here. Say hello to the emergency backup coal generators. We've also set them up with some... there should be coal that will get delivered off here so that they can be fully automated. They'll all be serviced by these auto sweepers, and the battery here said that if the power goes below 80%. Really, because we're running on geothermal, we should always have incoming power. Though maybe not for long based on what we're going to get up to next. But yeah, I should probably wait till some of the things are caught up on. For example, there's way too much liquids and stuff that I've collected down here. I'm going to have to sweep up this mess, clean the whole place up, get everything back to a nice even footing, and get all those coal bins stocked up with coal before we move forward. Tidy up complete, sort of. The first and biggest change is I put down a little liquid pump here to suck up all the petroleum. I got rid of the non-molten slicksters. So now all that ends up is down here is petroleum. That gets pumped. Oh, wrong one. That gets pumped up here and dumped into that petroleum generator where it's burned off. I stuck in a third petroleum generator because ethanol is weird. Even though I've got only producing exactly 4 kilos of ethanol per second, there's some sort of rounding error because you end up with slightly more. This has resulted in both these petroleum generators stockpiling 20 kilos of the stuff because they've got slightly more than they need. It slowly builds up over time until both of them spill over, and it was starting to back up in the pipes, which is bad. So I stuck in a third one, which is getting fed literally micrograms of the stuff. I don't know. We're going to have to find out what happens there. That's just one of those odd quirks you'll never know until you get into ethanol. Well, that will take care of the petroleum from our slicksters. Our slickster population will slowly expand. Very, very slowly. We've only got a few of them. Though, I suppose we've got 3 incubators going. All the eggs are automatically whisked out now. We've got some automation in place. Oh, yeah, that is lumber coming in, and that is polluted dirt going out, by the way. But the eggs will get sucked up here. They all get dumped across and stuck into an evolution chamber where we have... Why is there mafic rock in there? Nope, that can go. We've got all the larvae eggs in there, and of course we'll also end up with the molten larvae eggs. Eventually this whole place will be full of them. So we've kind of turned these ranches into like ethanol distilleries. You'll notice this is still a stables, even though it's got 4 ethanol distilleries in it. That's a really efficient use of space. I like it. It's a nice way to, it's almost a symbiotic relationship. They produce the carbon dioxide that feeds the slicksters. We've also got these up here, though. When it comes to stocking up these coal bins, I've noticed we have a lot of tasks. That used to be 170 before they were getting around to it, but I've been letting them take care of tasks in the background, and hopefully they will eventually take care of the 100 or so side tasks that I haven't been letting them get around to. But we have one last problem. The polluted water that's ending up over here, I could get it to evaporate occasionally, but not quite. The temperature down here is just too low. We do have plenty of temperature up here, namely because of the amount of steel we're making. What are we up to? 20 tons. Yeah, well, I spent a whole bunch more of it. What I want to do is put a sort of a cooling loop through here, or a heat smearing loop to sort of smear all the heat from up here down here as well, because here it's down to minus 115, whereas up top it's 140. Temperature shift plates just not quite cutting it. I could put a big string of diamond ones down the center to act as a sort of a heat spike, but I think instead we'll go with a little bit of active cooling by putting in a big gas loop that will drag temperature down to the bottom of the map. Something, say, like this, I'll have to do a little bit of tidying up, but... yeah. Something like this, of course. Well, you know what? I will redo this with a little bit more carefulness. That's too sloppy. There. That looks nice and neat. Most of it goes through the flooring, and all of that is made out of steel. How much steel did we use? Like about 10 tons of steel. But it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We have plenty of steel coming in because of the Pokeshells. And why is there polluted water here? Oh, God. All right, that's my bad. I should have disabled those. Every time. Right, I will mop up that mess. That, of course, has led to this cooling loop being filled up. This cooling loop was the reason I introduced more liquid to that cooling loop. Well, there was method to that madness as well. That cooling loop extends down here, and I extended it down here all the way down to our carbon skimmers. Our carbon skimmers are, well, the water that goes in here still ends up getting a little hot before it gets pumped back out. By running this cooling loop all the way down here before I jammed it, because I put in too much polluted water, we had a system where we were able to cool down this whole area and we were able to cool down this area down here. But I think it's time we got these sorted again. What's it like in here? Oh my God, I've overheated this area. Always a way to mess things up, isn't there? Alright. Yeah, we'll delete that, and then what we'll do is we'll strip out a little bit of the polluted water out of the system, and we should be able to get it running again. I have tried to drain water out of this cooling loop. It is proving to be difficult. Let's just put it that way. Turns out it's a little tricky. There's just so much jammed in there, so what we're going to do is something a little stupid. We're just going to chuck on a big liquid drop off there, and we're going to just start dumping the liquid into the industrial sauna. It should probably boil. If it doesn't, we can wait a bit and boil it. There we go. So we've got it moving. Let's make sure we've got some of the liquids out of there. Wow, there's a lot of liquids in there. Is it finally finished? Okay, we finally got a break in the flow. I think we can just about stop that now. Yeah, let's delete that. Perfect. Now we can get on with what we were doing, which was, finishing off this gas piping in here. There we go, a rather expensive steel radiant pipe loop. Now all we got to do is fill it with hydrogen, which shouldn't be too hard considering the location of that. One moment. Once that fills and is continuously rotating, it should help smear out all the heat and take care of that annoying polluted water problem down there. That should start, well, I might have to mop up the mess that's already down there, but it should turn all the future mess into steam, so we don't have to deal with this anymore. And what was that noise? It sounded like something died. You know what? Not going to worry. There's 8 critters in there. We're finally up to 8 slicksters, so they should expand much more rapidly now. We should almost always have the incubators full. What do we got in there? A bunch of larva eggs. Yep, we don't care. So, next up. Before we go, let's have just a quick look at this ethanol again. I'm quite enjoying this system. It works. Like, the temperatures they come at varies and fluctuates depending on how much wood is going through, but it's remained quite stable, and it's stopped us from having any ethanol flashing in the pipes. I mean, if you look here, it's 59 degrees inside those machines. That one's got milligrams. I still don't know what's going on with that one. And this one is just taking petroleum, so it doesn't even care. But it does kind of work. And if we check the temperature overlays on these things, where is it? The one that should hold the most is igneous rock. It's at 65C, 64.7, 64.8. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I would have been better off building the whole thing out of diamond or just igneous rock. I'm you know what, not going to worry. What I've got to worry about next is the Pokeshell ranches. This was my next mistake. Yes, there was an awful lot of mistakes covered in this episode. I was putting one of these, normally what you do is you keep one of these going, and that will support 25 of a critter. Well, usually 25 is, say, hatches, because hatches live for 100 cycles. Same with these. However, we're starvation ranching, which means this one's 24 and it's going to die in half a cycle. So they live to about, what, 25? I want to guess 25. 7, 14. Yeah, so 25. They're all going to live to be 25 cycles old, which means we need a lot more incubators. We are going to need 16 incubators. Well, it's 25 instead of 100 cycles they're living for, so yeah, 4 more of these. Now, I had this critter drop-off put in here so that if any of these don't get picked up, they get auto-wrangled and dumped into a ranch. And we're going to put a... What? Let's do this now. We'll copy all these over here. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Oh, yeah, that needs to be replaced with steel. It's a little bit warm over here on this side of the map. This is where the volcano was, so things here are a little toasty. Yeah. Right, but once we have all of those in place, we're going to get another one of these. We're going to make it out of steel, and we're going to have the critter drop off, say... Where should we put you? Right about here? Yeah, that'll be... Oh, there we go, out of steel. And this will be a lower priority than all the ones over here. All the ones over here will be slightly higher at number 6. This one will be slightly lower at number 5. That should mean that if we end up with excess slicksters, or sorry, excess Pokeshells, they'll get dumped in here where it's very toasty and they will get turned into crab shish kebab. Or crabs kebab? I don't know. I'm sure there's a crabs kebab joke in there somewhere. That means we should end up with a full complement of Pokeshells. Now, we are going to need to expand this though slightly because we need to support 16 incubators. Remember that point I was talking about earlier where we have enough power for now? I'm not sure if we have enough power to run 16 incubators, but I don't want to start automating these to save power. That just feels... don't get me wrong. People were pointing out I'm not okay with that, but I am okay with letting the trees, using the trees and letting them grow for free. And oh wow, I probably need to get some more people. I probably need to get some more people full stop. We're not having enough people coming over here to harvest these in time. Yeah, there's errands for all of these. Yeah, I'll finish off this and then I'm going to let this run for about 50 cycles so that all of those chores I've been stopping them from doing get taken care of. That just looks like an unholy amount of incubators. I don't even want to turn them on all at the same time just yet. I'm worried what it will do to my power grid if I turned on that many incubators. This is a lot of incubators. Power wise, how are we looking? Are our batteries just staying stable? Batteries seem solid. Power available. Wait, no. Battery power is going down, is it? 36.5, 36.4. We are actually draining the power. Okay, I might have to put in another geothermal generator. That's going to be weird. Which one's got spare magma going on? You know what? I haven't really cranked this one up. I think this one's pretty much on low power, is it? 160. We will put you up to 180. No point you holding back. So we'll crank that one up to 180. Hopefully that will give us a little bit more juice to work with. I really don't want to run out of power. This means I'm going to need to invest in even more power production. And I'm glad I'm recycling that ethanol for more power. That seems like a good idea. Damn it. All right, well, first things first, though, I need to let all of my errands catch up. As you can see here, what are these on? You guys, have they almost cut off? Wow, okay, we've almost cut up with all the errands. That was probably all the trees that was slowing things down. But I'm going to let this skip forward a bit. We're going to catch up on errands. I'm going to make sure that our batteries remain stable and that we're not going down in power. I'm also going to just double check a few more things and let the game tick over until we've caught up with all the background requirements. All right, I am severely out of time, but there's a few things we can cover just before we head off. One is, you know what? Let's see what we've got on the choose a blueprint selection, and who cares? We'll take the pufflet. There's a bit of a rush. When it comes down to this, I've been messing around with this a little bit in the background, and this ability to just drop a whole bunch of resources just from the top of the map down here, I quite like exploiting it. And with a few smart auto sweepers, you can really just simplify this whole section. I got rid of the conveyor loaders and all sorts of things, and I just stuck in auto sweepers. For example, the way it works here is this just grabs minerals from here and dumps them into this storage bin and that storage bin. And both of these auto sweepers here can top up their respective ranches quite handily. This auto sweeper here pulls from this bin and is able to top up this bin so that this ranch can feed itself. And this sort of just continues on in this trend. This one here picks up resources from here to top up these two bins so that these ranches can top up themselves. If I had to do this all over again, I probably would have dropped this all the way down to here. And then this bin, this autoloader can keep that bin full. We'd put another auto sweeper there and it would just keep, hopscotching up as high as you want. Just a simple way to just feed lots of ranches really easily with no need for conveyor rails and much more energy efficient. Now, these ones over here, this ranch, yes, it's doing incredibly well. We've got 74 critters in there. The amount of plastic we've got out of that so far, 667 tons, minus whatever plastic we've used already. I put in one wheezewort in here. I was worried this would starve them, even though we'd only have 5 plants to feed them. But these things are unique. When they eat, every time they chow down, it maxes out their calories. And it doesn't matter how big the plant is or how small the plant is. One bite is enough to max out their calories. And then that keeps them fed for, well, how long? They consume 2,000 calories per cycle. So 2, 4, 6, 8. You get about, so long as they eat once every 4 cycles, they're full. That's it. And this plant grows enough in one cycle to feed one of them. So there's 5 meals in here. There's 8 of them. Yeah, that works out quite handily and it's much cheaper. We've also automated the dirt delivery on these. So dirt is delivered automatically. These things get their phosphorite automatically. Everything's automatic on those. They've been just a joy to work with. Down here, I siphoned out all of the polluted water that ended up down here. And what I did was I just dumped it up to the top of the map where it evaporated. We've got some dirt up there. I will sweep that up. We can find something to do with it. Oh, those Pokeshells. You can ignore the Pokeshells for the moment. We'll get back right to those in a minute. The slicksters are expanding at a rapid pace. We've got 8 there, 6 there. We'll max out these ranches in no time at all. All the petroleum will just jump straight into a petroleum generator. It gives us a little bit of power, but at the same time, it gives us even more carbon dioxide to work with. Now, down here, we have our carbon skimmers. These are... the problem I had with running these initially was when I put water in here, it would occasionally start to overheat. As in, the water would come in here, and every trip through it would just pick up a little bit more heat until eventually it boiled. To stop that, I introduced the cooling loop. I just stretched this cooling loop from up here all the way down here, and then I just changed the pipes that are coming in and out of here to radiant. So anytime water comes out of here, even if it's too warm, it goes through some radiant pipes, bleeds off a little bit of its heat, and it goes back in at a much lower temperature. So it's 47 degrees. It's plenty. So long as it stays below 100 degrees, it's fine. And this way we can run the carbon skimmers without issue. These gas pumps over here shouldn't really need to be used anymore. Once the slicksters are fully online, they should stop working. What I was using them for, though, any carbon dioxide they were pulling out of there, I was running it through the polluted water to dump off as much heat as possible in some granite piping. Just a little way to help with the temperature smearing. Though that hydrogen loop is slowly but surely dumping an awful lot of temperature down here. It's struggling to keep up with the amount of liquid coming out of there, but I'm not going to worry too much. I think we're good on that front for now. Finally, these Pokeshells. As you'll notice, we have a lot of ranches full of Pokeshells, and yes, this is going to start getting ridiculous. What are we up to? Steel-wise, we're at 19 tons. I think it was at 16 tons there about a cycle or two ago. All I did was I increased the number of incubators that were running, but at the same time, I wrangled up all the critters that were in there and started dumping them into the ranches. We should now, theoretically... I haven't turned on the last 4. I've only got 12 of these running because I'm afraid of what it'll do to my power grid if I turn on another 4. We'll find out later. But with this running this way, our lime intake is going to go through the roof. Any excess slicksters or any excess Pokeshells, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some modifications here later, put in a scooper up, so any Pokeshells that evolve in here or become adults in here will automatically get wrangled, and then they will get carted over here and dumped off in our steam room. The reason for that is, if we grab this one here, what is your status? You can survive to a livable range of 100 C. Currently, they're 61 and going up. We're going to boil some crab. We're going to have some boiled crab, and the moment they're boiled, and oh my god, there's a baby in there. Nope. The babies do not go in here. I'm not that evil. Also, I want them to grow up first before they boil. That way they're both molts out of them. If you kill them as children, you don't get the molts. And dear Lord, that is the worst thing I've said in a while. Okay, I think that went okay today. Considering it was an entire just litany of correcting all the mistakes I've made, I think that was fairly okay. And we have so many critters right now. Just so many, and it's going to get even more out of control. Maybe we should go full critter on this and just start producing even more. No. I'm out of time. I gotta go. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and good luck.